Hi there, guys. Are you guys looking for a home, but you're not sure what to look for, or you have some questions about it and you're wondering if you're thinking the right things? Well, in this video, I'm going to help you figure that out. This is a few tips on house hunting, and my name is Shah, and I'm a real estate agent from the Metro Detroit area. I'm here to help you out. If you have any questions, feel free to comment or DM me or just text me. It costs money for other YouTube gurus. You can always do it for free, so don't feel shy. Now let's get into this video. So the first thing to think about is location. You want to think about how many amenities are nearby, such as stores, grocery stores, hospitals, schools. You want to live close to these type of things because they can help your property's value grow, and it can improve your living experience. If you have kids and the schools nearby, it's really nice to have them be able to walk to school or be very close to school. You gotta also think about safety and crime. If you want to live in what kind of neighborhood you want to live in and what you're comfortable with. Also, one thing I think people don't really think about sometimes is where do you work? You want to choose a place where it's easy to get to work, such as living close to a highway. I've seen people complain that they live like 10-15 minutes away from the nearest highway and they drive local all the time. Some people don't like that. Some people like to live 3 minutes away from the nearest highway exit and boom, they're at work in 15 minutes. So you gotta really think about those things and think about where do you want your home and how close do you want it to all these amenities. And also look for if there's new things growing in the area or being built. If there's new stores being built in the area or new developments such as hospitals or new neighborhoods, that's a good sign that the area is growing and the neighborhood's probably going to grow in value. So always keep in mind location. That's one of the most important things to think about. The second one is going to be house structure and foundation and condition. So when you're looking at the home, you want to not be scared by stuff like cosmetics, such as new paint, new carpet, like stuff like that you should not be scared of. Now, the things that you've got to be scared of is structural issues. And to give you a little bit of hint on what structural issues can be, it's stuff like the roof, the windows, the foundation of the home. Is the home divoting? Like, is it curving? If you feel these type of curves on the home, that could be an issue with the foundation. If you go to the basement and there's some severe cracks. Now, with cracks, you got to be a little careful on what kind of crack it is, because sometimes they can just be covered up easily. Sometimes it can cost a lot of money. Most often, you will find cracks that are just settling, which can be fixed with a tuck-in or some small fixes. But sometimes the cracks can be something very structural and can cost you $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, which is not worth to buy the home. So make sure that there's nothing structurally involved that's damaged in the house. Cosmetic things such as new light fixtures, new paint, new carpet, you should not be scared of those type of things. Frankly, if you could buy a house with good structure but terrible cosmetics and you can update that for the right price, that's a perfect deal. So if you can find that, that's a good idea. But don't get scared by these type of things. Just be scared or be wary of structural issues. Now, if you really want to buy those properties with the structural issues, you got to make sure you get the good price for it, right? There's always a correct price for each property. Even the property with the most terrible issues, if you get it for such a good pricing that after all the cost that it makes sense to fix it up and you're still making money, that's a deal, right? But you just make sure that you have the capabilities to also do that too. Doing a massive renovation job when the house is all studs is going to be very hard. But if you can do one with just minor adjustments and hire some contractor out that you could be doing a good job there at that property. So make sure that you consider the condition and possibilities of what you have to do in that property. That's a very important thing to look at. Now, third thing is layout. And layout is something that you basically have to see do I like to live here or not? Imagine yourself living in that house. Do you want your bedroom super close to the front door? Do you want a living room open to the entire house where everyone can see you? I've seen people where they want their kitchen to be private, but the living room to be public, right? And they don't like it when the kitchen's right next to everything. Some people hated that their the first bedroom is right next to the front door, and people don't want to live that close to the front door. So there's a lot of things you have to consider in your layout. Imagine yourself living in your dream home and how do you picture it? Or you could find a layout similar to that. Now, sometimes in a certain area, you might not find certain types of properties because they just don't build them like that in those areas. So you might have to make some compromises. But think about the layout and how do you want to live your life. And this one would lead into the fourth one, which is outdoor space, which kind of factors in how do you want to live your life and your privacy. Do you want a front yard that is very private from everyone, or do you want something that's very communal and you can see everyone and know your neighbors? Do you want to deal with such a big front yard and backyard where you have to maintain it or pay someone to maintain it? Do you really want to do yard work maintenance, or do you just want a really small yard? Do you not want a front yard at all to live in a condo? There's a lot of things you have to think about with the outside space of the house. If you deal with a condo, you most likely won't have to do like the lawn and the outside things, but you pay HOA each month. If you do sometimes outdoor property like a single family and there's a big front yard, backyard, you will either have to pay someone or deal with it yourself, and that can cost money or time and effort. So you really got to understand, what kind of lifestyle do you want? Do you want to be shoveling the snow every day? Do you want to live on a dirt road or not? Do you want to deal with such a huge driveway? These are the type of factors that you have to deal with, so just keep that in mind. Now the fifth one kind of goes back with location, is the future resale value. You want to make sure that your property is in a good area and if the values are growing. What if you happen to sell, right? You might be thinking this is my forever home, but shit happens. And what if you have to sell your home, or what if you want to move to a newer home and you found something you like better in the future after 10, 15 years? You want to be able to get out properly, and last thing you want to do is be in a house where it's below the price of what you bought it at. So to make sure of that, you want to make sure of new real estate market data. Look at if the prices are trending upwards. Look at how quick homes sell on market. If homes are selling really quickly on market and new people are constantly moving in, then you can tell that area is growing and it's going to be in higher value in the future. Now, the area takes forever to sell. There's no new developments in the area. People are moving out. Stuff like that can really deter the price and ruin it. I mean, this is kind of what happened to people in Detroit. A lot of people moved out in the 70s and 80s also because they were worried about the declining home prices. Home prices were declining really fast, and a lot of people in Detroit, they had their homes at such a low price before what they bought it for. Then this, we're talking like 30 years ago. Detroit's not like that as much anymore. Many homes have grown in value, but this is a historical example of what has happened. Many people lost home value, and they were under on their home during the late 20th century in Detroit, Michigan. Now the sixth one is going to be financial consideration, and honestly this should be your first one. If I put last, I don't know why. So financial considerations, you got to consider what you can afford and what is your budget. And it's a lot easier to figure out what your budget is than looking for a home, instead of looking for a home then figuring out your budget for that home. That's not a good way to go about it. You have a budget, and that's how much money you have at this moment that you're thinking about looking for a home. So you got to be healthy about that decision and make sure that you can afford it. You don't want to over leverage yourself or spend too much money or be stuck in some golden jail where you're basically spending all your income on this home. Make sure what your budget is, don't spend so much, and then once you figure out your budget, counting everything such as outside maintenance, if you're going to be hiring a landscaper, you got to think about taxes, the water bills, electricity bills, HOA fees. Just consider the whole cost factors of owning a home, and then see what your budget is. And then once you have your budget set, you can try to find a home that can fit your budget. It's a lot easier, and you won't be wasting as much time. Figure out your budget and then look for a home. This should be your first one, but it's not. So basically, at the end of this video, you basically want to think about, how do you want to live your life? What kind of experience do you want? How do you imagine living in your house, right? Do you want a close bedroom to the front door or not? Privacy, think about privacy. Think about future growth. If you're trying to move out in the future, you got to consider that will you be able to sell your home? Think about safety. Just imagine yourself living in this home and consider those factors of life, Basically, if you're going to be living in this home, picture yourself living in that home and see, would you want to live that lifestyle? Each home has a different lifestyle in its way. Sounds cliche, but it's kind of true. And you got to make sure that lifestyle fits you. If you're a very city person, you don't want to deal with a lot of things. Last thing you want to buy is a 4-acre plot of land and property in Howell, Michigan, and deal with the whole woods and grounds. And if you want such freedom and outdoor space, the last thing you want to buy is a really small property in Detroit, Michigan, where you have no privacy and you have no nature experience. Make sure you know what type of lifestyle you want, and that's how you'll be able to that will help you figure out what type of home you want to live in. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me. I can help you wherever you want to live if you're on the fence about that stuff. Thank you guys for watching. You guys have a great day.